I've been investigating my ABS system for the past couple of days, but rather than take you down all those tedious dead ends with me, here's a bit of a recap of what's been going on. So my ABS module is talking fine to my ECU, but neither of them are giving me any ABS error codes through the FORScan system. So at this stage, I can't go any further, and I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to have to bring this to the garage. However, before I do, I want to conduct a little bit of investigation of my own. And the first thing I've done is I've disconnected the ABS sensors to see if they throw an error code up on the FORScan system, which they don't, and then I check them for resistance to see if they're actually alive, and all four give very consistent readings of around 760, 770 ohms. I then turn my attention to the reluctor rings themselves, starting with the rear because they're easier to access. Got the rear hob off and had a look at them. The one on the driver's side seemed okay. It looks a little rough around the edges, but it actually looked fine, and the gap between it and the sensor was also very consistent. I tidied it up a little bit just to make it better, but I was pretty much happy with how that looked. Then I went to the other side of the car, and over there I was surprised at just how much grease and gunk was on the reluctor ring. So, and also there was metal filings on there, rust that had come off and stuck to it from the dust shield around the brake disc. So I cleaned all that off, and I cleaned the dust shield as well, put all that back together, and then turned my attention to the front of the car. Now to do the fronts, I can't access the bearings themselves because they're buried within the hub. So I took the ABS sensors out, put my Dremel down the little recess, turned the hub by hand, and tickled some of the corrosion and gunk off in the hope that that would solve my problem. Today, I put it all back together, and I took it out for a little drive up and down the thing here today, and sure enough, same thing. ABS light goes off at 5 miles an hour, comes back on again at 20 miles an hour. So there's still a sensor issue with the car. No, I'm just going to book it in to the garage to get them to look at it, because in order to be able to... Now, the other thing is I've looked at all the price of bearings for these, and they're really cheap. They're like £25 a corner. So you could do the whole lot for 100 quid, but I don't have the equipment. It's a specialist job. A good technician would do it in an hour, whereas it would take me the day to do one. So book it into the garage, get it MOT'd, and get them to fix the ABS. So we have a development. I've put all the wheels back together, took it out for a drive. On my way back in, I bumped into my neighbour Paul, who's a Honda technician, and he suggested that I borrow his proper diagnostics, snap-on bit of diagnostics kit. Now I've plugged it in and got up down the little access road. You don't have to go very far, and you can see right here, plain as day, where the issue is. So these two down here, these are the two wheel sensors. They're the right hand side, right? And there's the left hand side rear. And if I scroll up one, you'll see that's the right left. That's the front left. And if you look, they all match. So front left, front right, and rear right all match, but rear left is giving crazy speed readings. So I've taken off the ring. The ring is fine. I've cleaned it now, so I know that that's 100%. So the last thing that this could be is the rear ABS sensors. And the great news about this is it's a really easy job to do, and they're not expensive. And before I submit this car to the garage, I'm going to pop new sensors in the back. And if it's not that, then I know it's an issue between the wire there and the ABS module, because it ain't the ABS module itself. And that should be that. So just goes to show. See, this is one of these bits of kit. These are a couple of hundred. Well, an old one's a couple of hundred quid. These are a couple of grand new. So this is why I was going to go to the garage, because I just don't have the kit, and it's not worth it for this car to spend all that money on one bit of kit. But having seen how much time and effort this thing would have saved me, I'm starting to think it might be worth the investment. I just wanted to give you a look at a constant problem I've been having with this car. So on the back of the caliper, I've got these two little bolts holding it in place, and these should be 13s, right? But when I put a 13mm socket on these, you can see how loose they are. I get a 12, and a 12 won't fit on there at all. So I don't know, is it because it's a weird metric size, or sorry, imperial size, or what, or is it just corrosion or whatever over the years? Anyway, so what I've done is I've invested in a set of these. They're little impact bolt nut removers, and the way they work is they're roughly the size, in whatever case. This one is a 14 mil. I've got a 13 mil here. They're roughly the right size, but they're hardened steel and they've got little teeth. So as you try to take them off, they screw on tighter. And I use this for the front when I completely sheared one of the bolts. I completely rounded the top of it, and I put this guy on there, and it, unbelievably, the harder I pulled on it, the more he bit in. So I'm going to wrap it around the spanner this time. I'd love more leverage on this, but I'm not getting it. So, but we'll keep pulling at this and see how we go. I need to get the brake caliper off, to get the brake disc off, to get access to the hub, so that's why I'm doing this. Come on, there it goes. That's amazing. I mean, what a piece of equipment. Now, they're not cheap, these little things. They were, well, they're not expensive either. I think it was about 30 quid for a set. And they don't fit every size. They're a bit hit and miss. I think they're based mostly on imperial sizes. But, my God, what a gift they were. Because, as I say, on the front caliper, I completely rounded it off with the impact wrench, trying to get it off. So there was no removing it. And then I got this guy on it and swung at it, and off it came. These little touch-up paints with a little syringe needle nose on them are just awesome, because they allow you to get right down into the scratch without having to daub paint everywhere. And you can go light or heavy on them, just depending on how much you give it a squeeze. Now this is the exact paint for this car, Ford Performance Blue. As is usually the case, it isn't an amazing match, but I think with a little bit of time to bed in, and then a little bit of compounding, that'll come up nicely. This is what my boot now looks like. So that used to have a fairly deep scratch there, and another one here. Now, if you go looking for the scratch, you will see it. Still remnants of it there. You can kind of see it there at that angle. But you can see I've been a really light touch on it. I don't want to have it daubed in paint. Just enough in there to take the white away. And then just let it dry in. Let it bed in for a little bit, and then I can come after it with, as I say, the compound, and see if I can take the shade down a notch. But you know, it's only ever going to be so good once it's scratched. Unless you sand it down and respray the whole thing, it'll only ever be so good. But I'm pretty happy with that. And the only other cosmetic thing that I need to do then, apart from refurbing the wheels, is new side stripes, because these ones look pretty rough. Everyone's okay except this door is bad. Now I have a whole new set. I'll put the door on first and see how it matches. If I need to do them all, I will. And also the other thing I've done here is I've put new clips in here that was hanging loose, and obviously my little thingies are gone as well. I've got two of these jacking point covers missing, one here and one in the opposite, so little bits and bobs to do, but in the grand scheme of things they're small cosmetic jobs. Yeah, it's coming together. You joined me at an interesting time in the ABS investigation, because I have finally managed to prise the ABS sensor out. So that's the passenger side one, and then the other one obviously is the driver's side. That new bolt you see in there, that I've put in. The old one, again, like all the bolts in this car, undersized head, you know, very easily stripped. So now that that's out, nice new stainless steel one gone in. But what I've done is I have taken the sensor from this side and put it in on the other side, and you can see I've sort of bodged the wiring together very quickly. I'm not going to go far, I'm only going to go up and down the access road anyways, but I've swapped sides. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug in my diagnostics kit, and if it tells me that there's a fault on this side, then I know it's my hub. If it tells me there's a fault on this side, then I know it's my sensor. These sensors are about 35 quid for a decent aftermarket one, and the hubs, the little hub rings, the little reluctors are about 15 quid, I think, and neither of them are very difficult to put in. So hopefully in a few minutes, take the car up and down the road, or well, up and down the little access road here, and I will have, fingers crossed, an answer to this problem that has been plaguing me since this car arrived. So I swapped the sensors over. They're the same size, same shape, so they slotted in left to right pretty easily. The bolts were a disaster to get out, as I said, but I've new ones in there, so everything is kind of ready to go in nice and neatly when my replacement ones arrive. I've done a second test with the sensor swapped over. This right here is the right. So this is your front right, and that's your left rear. So this is where the issue was. I swapped over the sensors and I come down here, and now the sensor's on the right, and you can see how it's giving erratic readings compared to those of the other three wheels. And if I line up the other, I'll show you the other wheel. This is the front left. As you can see, the sort of mountain shape that it made. These all match more or less, except for this one, the speed sensor on the right rear. And that, remember, that was on the left rear. So that's it. It isn't the reductor rings, it isn't the wiring, it is that sensor. We have finally got to the end of the saga. I have a new one on order. It should be here in a couple of days. Then I'll bop it in. That should hopefully make my ABS light go off once and for all, and that hopefully will be that. I can get the MOT on the Fiesta and start enjoying it finally. So my repair hose has not worked. It's not my bit that's failed, it's the forward bit that sticks into the radiator that seems to be leaking. I'm actually going to pressure test it now just to see exactly where that leak is. But before I do that, I'm going to take all this apart and get access to it. That's that bit out. And here I now have full access to the hose that leaks, and it leaks out of this bit. I'm going to pressure test that now just to check it. This bit is where it was leaking. New hose, new Jubilee clip. That isn't leaking anywhere with this. This bit, nightmare. Anytime you mess with the coolant system, it's a good idea to check the pressure on it. I bought this kit probably, I don't know, a year ago, and I've used it so many times. But if you end up refurbing cars and you're messing with coolant systems, it's definitely worth having it. So that, you didn't see it unfortunately, but that just exploded fluid everywhere. It shot out of that thing. Right, there it is, all reconnected. And it's currently over pressure. I've got it up there at about 17, 18 psi, 1.2, 1.3 bar. Well, it turns out that when you click the little forward bit into the radiator, there's a first click and then there's a second click. But there's a little retaining clip that you push in, the little wire clip that you can see. Sorry, let's see if I can get it there. See that little wire clip there? So you push that through, and that's what snaps it onto the radiator. Now, on the first level, when you push it through, it snaps in. It's happily doing it. But it's only when I took it all apart and looked at it all again that I realized that I need to push it in that bit further so that it clamps in around the lip. So it's not the forward bit that failed, and it's not my fix that failed, it's my reassembly bit that failed. And that's cooling systems are like that. They're so pernickety. So that's it. The final bit has arrived, hopefully. The nice bit about having done all the investigation work with the ABS sensors up to now is I've done the really crappy job of getting the old bolts out that were holding it in. I've put nice new ones in. They'll whiz in and out. I can pop this in hopefully in a matter of minutes, and then we shall see if we have success. Oh, and the other thing I did last night is I went around the car and I found actually a lot of blown bulbs. One of the number plate bulbs was blown, one of my brake light bulbs was blown, so I was giving it a quick once over and found a few little things that could snag it for its MOT. So now with this in and my ABS light off, I should be in a really good place to get this back in the road. So that's it. The old one is out. The new one is in. And one of the things I've been quite surprised by is the kit comes with everything, including all the brackets and all the little protectors and everything. So I was very slow and meticulous about taking the old one off because I need to preserve those. But as it happens, I need to bother. The kit came with all those bits, so it was actually very easy, very quick and easy to put in, about 30 minutes in total. But that is it. So now we are in a position to see if this thing goes out, if this light goes out, and I have a fully functioning car. Right, ABS light is on. So what usually happens, my ABS light is on. Now that's not unusual, so it's telling the car, right, you've had an ABS fault, you need to go have a look at it. ABS light's gone out much sooner than normal. Sorry about that. I knew you'd fall. I knew that would happen. I got a bit excited. Prospect of the car actually not having an ABS light and running normally made me hit the bumps a bit too vigorously. I do apologise for that, but now it always comes back on by the time I get to the end of the road here. Nope, that's it. I'm now going to run in and book it for its MOT. So I've got 20 minutes to get to the MOT station, so I've got to book it. I've got a little bit of fuel in it, but I can do with a bit more, but I'm going to have to get that on its way back. But now, this is my first time driving this thing on a public road, and I'm very curious to know what it's like when you get to a car first after you've been working on it. Unfortunately, the first time you get to drive it properly is when you're on the way to the MOT centre. It's frustrating. Something is rattling around down there. Something feels like it's not as tight as it should be. And there's definitely a little knocking sound, so the other thing I need to look out for as well is any fluids. It just beeped at me, but it was the low fuel light. I'm scarred from my Mini days. It's curious little rattle, curious little knock. At this stage though, I'm as happy to let them get it up on a raft and poke around underneath it and tell me what's wrong with it. Brakes feel good. Still no ABS light, by the way. Very pleased with that. Pedal position, as you'd expect from a warm Ford, is very good. One little nut in there that I haven't tightened properly. If that scuppers me, I'll be a little bit annoyed, but at least I'll get a clear direction on what I should be looking for, and I can get about fixing it, bringing it back, retesting it. Job done. Right, so 8 minutes time, it goes in for its MOT. Wish me luck. Interesting first drive. A little concerned about the rattle, but overall the car feels perfect. Well, it is nice to be back in the mode test waiting room. I haven't been here in a little while. They seem to have updated the decor. By that I mean painted over the wallpaper. There's no cleaning material anywhere with my hands, and the coffee machine is gone, but there are stickers on the chairs, which confirms that they are definitely chairs. I doubt very much these were cleaned today or ever, but I digress. There's also a marvellous selection of decades old magazines. This one from 2005. Shouldn't touch that really. Yeah, this one 2009. Ooh, we're getting bang up to date. Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, 2008. Sorry, my bad. And also, if you think you've encountered some real problems with your car, you can get stuck into birding with Billy Goldie, with Belody. Read up on the World Atlas. There's even a dictionary, which might be handy for understanding some of the terminology that's being thrown at you. Oh, the life and times of George IV as well. So, yeah, if I do get stuck here for a long time, plenty to do. Not much to eat or drink, but plenty to do. Oh, and we have movement. The Fiesta is on its way. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's going in, it's going in. Oh, this is exciting. There it goes. Zoom in. It's going up on the ramps. Any more windows? No, that's as much as I can see. Alright, look a bit weird. Oh, horn works. Anyway, that's it. It is in. It's going up on the ramps. Hopefully whatever that rumble wasn't too critical. I can figure it out later. And fingers crossed, half an hour. I'll have a new MOT on that thing. Yes, come on car, come on car! So I've had two guys having a bit of a rummage around on the driver's side. Pulled another bloke over and they were comparing left and right. So I'm just wondering what it is they were looking at. They spotted whatever my rattle is, whatever my rumble is. And if that then will cause me any issues. Nervous, I'm a bit nervous. I'd be annoyed if it didn't pass over something silly I forgot to do up. But I couldn't test it. You can't test the car until you're driving it somewhere for an MOT. So, kind of damn you if you do and damn if you don't. In any case, I'll get a definitive direction that I need to go in order to be able to sort the car. It's still up on a weird platform at the front. The wheels are not on the wheels. Neither are the rear actually. They're not on the main platform. Ah. Okay. Well, he's smiling. Either that or he's laughing. I can't look anymore. We have a pass. It's got a couple of advisories. Stop lamps, non-obligatory stop lamp not working. Don't know what that is. Anti-roll bar linkage ball joint has slight play offside front lower, slightly loose. So that is the rumble I'm hearing. Roll wheel slightly distorted, near side inner rim. Roll wheel slightly distorted, offside rear. Guess that's why they're on the rear. Brake pipe corroded, covered in grease or other material offside rear before the brake hose. That's probably from the gearbox explosion. If it's, oh no, offside rear before the brake hose. I'll give it a look. It might be a bit corroded. Stop lamps, non-obligatory, not working. Checked all the brake lamps. I don't know what that is. I'll tighten down the anti-roll bar. And the rest of it is fine really. I mean, it doesn't rumble or make any noise. So that's it. She is good to go. She's back on the road. Fiesta ST lives. I'll tidy up the advisories, do the cosmetics, and enjoy it for the next little while. I'm still processing, so forgive me for not being too sort of wound up and excited about it. I didn't think it would pass, you know, that rumble. And then when I saw them, all of them rummaging around underneath it and looking at it, I thought, bloody hell, what, they've spotted something in there that I've missed. But no, it's just a slightly loose anti-roll bar. So it might be one of the linkages, one of the drop links. Actually, it says linkage ball joint, slight play, offside. Well, at least I know which side. It's this side. That's the side that we're looking at. So I've got a slightly wobbly bit of drop link. I might get some new drop links altogether and whack them in there and be done with it. But I can enjoy it. Yes! Go on, little Fiesta. It's only taken 2 months.